Yes, we are live. We are live, guys. Hope you're having a great day. I'm going to go ahead and put this on YouTube. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Sound check, sound check. Looks like my volume is going through on this end. I don't have my speakers up. So let me go ahead and throw this in Facebook. 1 second, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about the anatomy of a cold caller. Hope y'all's weekend was great. I know mine was. I just chill out most of the weekends. I just hang out and with my dog most of the time. Like make sure that I'm in. I was having some technical difficulties getting started off. We're good. And I want to do these a few times a week, guys, a few times a month, because I really do think that this hiring stuff is important. And this is really what a lot of what I'm going to be talking about going forward is. And I've been finding myself having to essentially explain to a lot of investors recently when they've been coming to me for like advice, like why do I focus on hiring? Why do I just talk about text blasting, or why I'm not just talking about tactics, right? What's the most recent tactic? A lot of people want to know what those tactics are. And I want to make sure before I move forward that my stream on Facebook set. Just give me a second, guys, because I this whole live stream thing back and forth is not my forte. So recent tactic. A lot of people. All right, so I want to make sure I'm good on YouTube or on Facebook, my fault. Huh. Thought I could be able to live stream to both Facebook and to YouTube as well. Don't think I can. So anyway, Facebook's fine. All right, let's get to it, guys. What's up, Chevelle? How's it going, my friend? Hope you're having a good day today. I know I am. Let me share my screen with y'all because I'm about to hit you with something heavy. Heavy. All right, guys, let's talk about the anatomy of a perfect cold caller. What does that entail? What does it mean when we talk about the anatomy? What's all the stuff I'm talking about? Well, guys, I'm big on psychology, and that's actually something I've really been focused on recently, which is seller psychology, hiring psychology. I guess seller psychology is something I looked at a few years back. I sort of hacked that. It's not that difficult because sellers only say certain things. So when I talk about the psychology of this all, I talk about basically talking about getting in the mind of your seller, getting in the mind of your employee, of your hires. There has to be patterns, and I'm big on pattern recognition. I'm big on there being non-randomness to everything, regardless of how much chaos there seems to be in your business or there seems to be in the world or your life. There's really it's organized. It's repetition. There's a pattern here, but we don't like what's playing out. The chaos is organized. In our companies, whenever we're hiring cold callers, whenever we're hiring lead managers, there's a certain type of archetype we're looking for here. And I'm going to just go through a few things I have written down here, starting with age. Then I'm going to go into their gender, nationality. What's the best combination of person you can get with or what's the most optimized fields you can get for the most optimized person for this position, for a cold calling position. So let's go ahead and talk about age. What age, what nationality? That's actually better to start off with. I love the Philippines, guys. So the nationality of our VAs are going to be Filipinos. They're going to be Filipinos, right? And the reason why is because I've tried multiple different hiring for multiple different countries, different ethnicities. There's just something about the type of worker you're able to get from the Philippines. They're loyal, inexpensive. That doesn't mean we're paying them cheaply. They're inexpensive, and they're coachable, right? And they understand the American culture. So I like having all of these blocks checked. Some people, they like, and also too, they're technically proficient. I like having all these blocks checked before I bring somebody on board. I'm not just going to look at somebody who's like a Central American or a Pakistani or somebody from India and say, oh, well, the person from India, I could pay $4 an hour. You know, that's inexpensive. Let me go hire them. No, you don't want to do that, guys, because they don't check the other blocks. Definitely loyal. And I'm not, guys, I'm just going to tell you guys what's up. Yeah, there's exceptions to the rules, but I'm telling you what based off of what the empirical evidence I've gathered and also talking with other people, what the word on the street is, right? And so I'm not saying that you can't find loyal Pakistani virtual assistants or Indian virtual assistants, but you got to realize, guys, if you have somebody from India call you asking to buy your house, you got to think it's just the ethnicity has just gotten a bad rap with a lot of the really shady things they were doing over there with call centers. So it's like it's the same as like the Nigerian prince scam almost. If you hear somebody from India calling you, you might want to stay away. The only people that are giving those nationalities any information are over customer service, over the phone, are old ladies that are getting taken advantage of. And I've seen that firsthand. So, you want to go with an ethnicity, an ethnicity that is loyal and that will stick with you, and also that you're not paying too much. This is why I don't hire Americans. Like, you can find loyal Americans. I don't know about this day and age, but when I started real estate a few years back, yeah, hiring Americans, you could do that. I still like hiring Americans for some positions. It all depends on the scenario, but they're loyal, but they're not inexpensive. So you can have a situation where you're bringing on somebody and they are really good at the job. They're loyal to you, but they're eating away at all your profit. You're paying them $20 to $30 an hour or $5,000 a month base, and you're making 10K on a deal, and you're spending $2,000 on marketing and other software expenses. You're making like $1,000 to $2,000 per deal. A lot of people don't break it down like that. They don't really take into consideration their employees, the price that their employees are costing them, and breaking that down on what the cost per deal, like how much is that costing them per deal. Okay, so they're loyal, inexpensive, coachable. They understand the American culture, and I'm seeing this happen more and more often with more of the people that I'm interviewing, especially the younger folks. They're on Twitter, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, so they get it. The days of having a lot of Filipinos that have broken English and don't really, even if they have good English, they're not, like, they have difficulty having small talk. Like, those days are over. We have a lot of people these days. We have a lot of Filipinos that have really great English and that we could pay, $5 to $6 an hour, which is a decent salary for them. Don't think we're underpaying people. I get that a lot. You're not underpaying people proportionally for what their income is. That makes total sense. That's like, you telling a 15 or 16-year-old, hey, you're going to make, $15 an hour or $12 an hour. That's proportionate for their job. I don't know what hourly salaries are these days, but that's decent. Or maybe a 20-year-old or somebody that just graduated college, they can play around in those figures because that's equitable to their experience level and what minimum wage is. Not minimum wage, but it's equitable to their experience level, and it's enough where they're able to not live off of, but when they get older and if they're more skilled, they can live off of that, right? Let's just say they're working in a cold calling center, an American, and then they become a manager. All right, now you can live off of that salary. Same thing. And a lot of people in the Philippines, they live communally together. It's important not to push our ideologies and our thought process about how other people live on them, and thinking that and making the how should I say this? Making the choice for them, right? If they don't want to work, if they don't want to work for you, they're not going to apply, right? If you're like, oh, this is too expensive, maybe, or inexpensive, maybe I should move the salary up to $6 an hour or $7 an hour. Guys, the people that want to work for you will come work for you, and that's a decent salary. So they are low and expensive. Let's talk about age. This is important. This is important. I like hiring people for this position. This position, guys, you're going to aim for somebody younger, probably around 19 to maybe even like 24. If you're hiring somebody that's in their like 30s or 40s for cold calling, that ain't going to fly. Like basically, like there's nobody that's going to be like, I'm a professional cold caller, and they're like going to have 20 years of experience and no supervisory experience. This is an entry-level position. And I'll write that up here, that this is an entry-level position. I'm gonna go check my chats, make sure my audio is still good. Make sure that, check the questions we have on YouTube. If you guys have any questions about what I'm asking or what I'm talking about, just let me know. What's up, Chevelle? I'm gonna get to you. Okay. So Chevelle said he's dealing with an admin problem in Google Voice. And so, yeah, Chevelle also said he believes in trying to know the psychology of sellers also, so that in the majority of marketing, it's feminine. Exactly. So I think I know what you're saying here with like the majority of marketing, the people that you're marketing to are women. I know that, but I also too, and this may go to another thing as far as gender, I like using women for this role for a lot of my sales roles. Now, when it comes to the nitty gritty, it really doesn't matter if you're dealing with a woman or a male, but if you can lean towards a woman, that's even better, because I find that women are a lot more detail oriented than us men when it comes to following directions and following through. Now, we're really good when it comes to getting the deals closed. Like, that's what we do. I mean, men, we get it done, but women, they do a really good job of nurturing and following the specifics, the nuances of the software, right? They may not forget to click end the call on your dialer. And if they forget to end the call on the dialer, like I've had cold callers do that, it can, mess up my KPIs and stuff. So little things like that, guys, updating their KPI sheets. I just found that, men like myself, we let that slack. But overall, Filipinos, they're really detail oriented. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. So Chevelle was saying, after having said all that, do you believe a female cold caller would do better than a male cold caller? I do think so. I do think so. At least an entry level, you have to understand, just like with anatomy, physical anatomy, women are more mature, right, than men. So if we're looking for a 19 to 24-year-old, I would aim for a woman, because they'll be a little bit more probably up on their P's and Q's. And but when you get to the lead manager position, and paying people $6, $7, $8 an hour, and them doing acquisitions and things like that, really it's the experience level at that point. But if I were to go neutral or just off the bat, just if between two people with a flip of a coin, I would go with a woman. Let me see the other question you got here. Okay, so you make them feminine to make more many folks accessible. Yeah, exactly. People feel a lot more comfortable with women, guys, whenever they're talking, whenever your sellers are talking to them, because women sellers can relate, especially if they've gone through divorce. They could feel they could confide in that cold caller. Also, too, men, yeah, listen, we're gonna like talking to a woman a lot more than a man because we're gonna have like our dukes up, especially if you catch us off guard and it's a cold call. Our guard's gonna be up, so we may get a lot of hangups. I wouldn't say this is a determining factor, but I would say this plays into it as well far as the success that you're going to have with your cold callers. Let me jump to Facebook here. I wish I was able to do a live stream here, but I'm probably going to actually let me edit this. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just updating my thing here. Okay. Here's the link. I gotta get this stuff sorted out here. Now delete this. Delete the trash. Okay, cool. All right, let me get back to it here. Okay, so we got, this is an entry-level position. Their nationality is Filipino, and the age is 19 through 24, gender, woman. All right, so this is the anatomy of a cold caller, guys. We're building it up from scratch. We're playing a video game. What would this thing look like? Okay, so I have 3 characteristics now, and I want to go over, yeah, I'll go over the personality type, and this is actually important. This is getting more into the nitty gritty. Now, you guys probably have heard people say, hey, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, or I'm an introvert, an extrovert. I don't understand people that say that. They don't know themselves when they say that. There's this website called 16personalities.com, and I have every single one of my hires take this test. It's a free test. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes. But guys, basically it just shows, this goes over, man, 113 million tests taken. This essentially shows you the type of person you are, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, but it goes down in even more detail. So you have 8 introvert personality types and 8 extrovert personality types. And each of those types are a different archetype in the world. And if you guys haven't, I highly suggest taking this. I've given this to well over 100 people, and including employees, my friends and stuff. When I first heard about this, I was going crazy, and I was like having everybody take this because I thought it was so cool that everybody fit in one of these personality types. For me, it helped make sense a lot out of the world and a lot out of the just people, and understanding why people operate certain ways and not getting frustrated about it, just knowing that, oh, that's how that person ticks. So something I may take offense to just may be how that person is, and they're not even thinking about that. So that's really why it's important to understand psychology too, because I think you can get really, you can have a lot of issues, not only in your personal life, but business, at work, if you don't understand how other people operate. And I'm really big on understanding, building harmonious teams. So we have 4 here. You got your sitting analyst, and this is me. I'm an INTP innovator. You have your diplomats. These are your people that like helping out people a lot, more like advisors. These are your sentinels. These are your people that actually are getting the work done on a daily basis. Like 60% of the world are sentinels, SJs. They're what we call SJs, right? EFSJ, ESFJ, ESTJ, ISFJ, ISTJ. These are your really disciplined people. And And I'm going to go over the types of individuals you're going to want to hire, that fit best for the cold calling role. And you got to realize, as much as you may want somebody that's perfect for the position, right? So for me personally, I'd want an ENTP or ENTP for that position. I'll go in why here in a little bit, but oh, you also have your explorers. Guys, these people down here probably would have no business in your company, right? After analyzing this quite a bit, and then also seeing the common personality types that I get, I've rarely, if ever, seen anybody come through, apply for my jobs that fit these personality types. And you'd actually be surprised. Actually, I was surprised when I started to see the job posts that I posted, like what personality types were common that gravitated towards each job. For instance, when I put my operations manager post up, I have a certain type of personality type that applies for that, more so than with my cold callers. For instance, if I were to put out a cold calling and lead manager post, these are very extroverted activities. These are not computer oriented. So I'll have a lot of ENFJs apply, a lot of INFJs apply. All right. And even though INFJs are introverted, these are when people say they're like an introvert extrovert, they probably are referring to themselves being an INFJ, because INFJs are like chameleons, right? They're introverts. They like being to themselves, but they like studying people. And they like being around their core tribe. So they may seem like introverts, but are like extroverts, but they're not really. And we have to understand, guys, with each personality type, there's certain people that there's certain characteristics that apply to each personality type and that are ubiquitous across the board if you're one of these types. And that's why I think it's so cool. Let me give you an example. INTP. You're not going to find any INTPs like myself say apply for a sales position. You're not. You're probably rarely, if ever, when you put out a job announcement, going to get an INTP that applies to any of your job posts. If they do, you know off the bat, if you're hiring for a cold caller, avoid anybody with I. And I would say there are some introverts that could do this job well, the cold calling job well. There are some, but I'm talking about across the board. We're talking about the anatomy of a perfect cold caller. We're not talking about the exceptions. We're talking about if I were to go with a cold caller or build a cold caller from scratch, what would I do? I would probably have an ENFJ, A, assertive, actually, in order of precedence, I would have an ENTP, A, ENFJ, A, and ISTJ, A, and probably, you could probably go with an INFJ, A. These are the personality types I would choose. And I'll go one by one and tell you guys why. So let's start with an ENTP. Most likely, you're not going to get somebody like this because an ENTP is probably going to be a business owner, right? ENTP probably, unless they're young, like they're in that 19 to 24 age range, you probably won't find a lot of ENTPs applying to these positions because they're overqualified. Right now, if you throw out an acquisitions position for $30 or $20 an hour, or maybe $30 an hour with commissions, and you put that on Indeed or another job board, yeah, you're going to get a lot of ENTPs that will apply because they realize their value, their worth. These are extroverts, intuitive thinkers, perceivers. And these are people that are they like debating and they're very assertive, and they find it fun to basically sell ice to an Eskimo. Like it's fun for them. And some of the best people that I've been around that have been acquisitions managers have been ENTPs. And we'll go over that another time. Now, if I see this personality type, I'm going to snatch them up. But the likelihood that they're going to take $4 to $5 an hour is very low, very low. So we need to keep that in mind. Who can we get for this position, knowing it's entry level? How can we get the best hire without deviating from our salary range, right? Just because you have a great employee, our potential employee here, a great applicant, don't make the mistake of meeting them where they want you to meet them as far as their experience level and raising your salary as a result of that. If the cold calling position only deserves $5 to $6 an hour, if they're coming through saying they want $10 an hour, I'm sorry, that's not going to work, because the position literally would not sustain any more of that, because that's going to increase your marketing costs. Your cost per deal is going to go up. And then at the end of the day, guys, you're going to have a situation where, like I said at the beginning of this stream, you're going to make $2,000 on a $10,000 wholesale deal and wonder where all your money went to. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for as far as their personality type, that ENTP first. Now, more common, you'll probably get a lot of ENFJs. Just off the bat, you'll probably get a lot for, like, really, if you're looking for Filipinos. ENFJ, I found, is like a very, I wouldn't say generic, but it's almost like the entry level, experience level personality type that most of your people will apply. Most of your people that are entry level positions and non-technically skilled, meaning they haven't refined their skills and gone down a particular career path, like lead management, supervising a team, acquisitions, operations, or even, just doing dispositions. So if they haven't chosen a path by the time they're like 24, 25, 26, these people are your general admin VAs. So if you put out job announcements out on Upwork and Freelancer, things like that, you might find a lot of admin VAs hit you up, and they just have done general real estate stuff like skip tracing. They've done some cold calling, KPI tracking, Excel spreadsheets. But these are people that have not been able to think for themselves. Essentially, they're not able to think for themselves. Meaning, I wouldn't say that they're not able to problem solve. So you want people that are going to be able to problem solve for you, and you can know just with the personality type what type of mind they have, right? So an ENFJ is going to be a very personable person, and this is another thing, guys. We don't want to overcompensate with certain skill sets. So you may find somebody and you're like, man, I love their voice. They sound great on the phone, and you might hire them because you like them, but they're not the best fit for that position and that role. Important stuff here. So ENFJ alpha, assertive. This is an individual that I can accept for an entry level cold calling position if I'm paying, let's just say $4 to $6 an hour is a good price. I wouldn't really pay any more for that, because if you pay more, you're not going to get more out of their performance. But salary is $4 to $6 an hour. Okay. And you can find somebody who's entry level. Now, you have to tolerate certain things. So you want to make exceptions based off of their salary and experience level. If we know that they're a cold caller, we don't have to have them have the most perfect accent, because this position is repetitive. Little critical thinking. Some of the stuff I may say may sound harsh, but I don't care. It is what it is, right? You're going to have these people they're the base of your company. They're marketing. They're waking up 8 hours a day working for like 8 hours a day with an hour break. They're doing the same thing every day, calling your list, generating your leads, vetting your leads, generating your leads, and just dialing through your list. They're able to get about like 1 to 2 leads per day. That's decent. And if you get an American, a Nicaraguan, Central American, somebody from Costa Rica, somebody from Pakistan, India, it doesn't matter. This is the capacity of the job. If they're able to do is average. If they're able to get like 5 leads a day, that's uncommon. That's uncommon. If you had cold callers that have been able to do that before, then kudos to them. But you have to make sure you're not taking previous employees' expertise and how good they were and trying to hold your other employees to that standard. That's why it's important to know generally across the board. After me analyzing hundreds of investment companies, I know across the board that we're looking at 1 to 2 leads a day. That's on average, right? I don't have I have a lot of cold callers to compare this to. Yeah, I've had some cold callers that have crushed it. Man, gotten 4 leads a day, 5 leads a day consistently for months. Is that the norm? No. Right. So you could get very, very frustrated if you're trying to hold them to the super high standard without knowing what right looks like. And you end up trying to tweak that part of the business when it's really 70% to 80% efficient. And you can focus on your acquisitions or your lead management process. And those processes maybe, 10 to 20% efficient or automated. And you're over here trying to figure out your cold calling, and it's already good. I think a lot of investors don't know what right looks like, so they may overcompensate and they may think that their list or their campaigns aren't performing, when actuality they just don't know what the numbers are when it comes how they pan out really when it comes to cold calling. Let me check my chat here, see if I got anything. See what we got here. And yeah, I really enjoy doing these lives right here. Okay, chat's looking good. Check on Facebook. Okay. All right, cool. Let's run it. I'm about to go into the other personality types now. So ENFJ, let me go and show you guys what an ENFJ looks like. And you got to be very mindful of people's experience levels. You should be reading their resumes. But most importantly, guys, whenever I'm on the call with people, with my on the interviews and stuff, or not the interviews, whenever I'm on talking to my employees, I always want to make sure that they are listening to what I say and are able to think critically based off of the questions that I ask. So this is why this is going to turn back to the ENFJs. I found that if they're younger and they don't have a lot of experience in like working freelance jobs, their English comprehension might be a little bit low. You have to be mindful of that, right? I'm not saying that they're silly or not silly. I'm not saying that they're incompetent, but I'm saying that in ENFJ, they have to work a little bit harder to get their skill sets to where probably an ENTP is, or any other individual that has T versus F, because they're thinkers, right? I like feelers for this position. I like somebody who can cold call and really get the information they need from the seller and understand like what they're saying. But at the end of the day, understand that they need to be detail oriented. And I found a lot of ENFJs lack on that. So if you're going to get somebody, make sure that they have at least a few years experience. And this isn't the first job that they're applying for with you. And really it should be like that across the board. I don't take on experiments. I used to do that, but I don't take on people where I'm like giving them a chance. They need to be able to come in and perform right away. So that's the ENFJ. And guys, if you're going to hire an ENFJ, go with an ENFJ-A. This is an alpha. This is an assertive person. The T stands for turbulent. This just means that they're not really sure of themselves, right? In the ENFJ's particular instance. And these are people, I don't want turbulent people on there because they're just going to provide drama. And with your cold callers, you really got to watch them and make sure that you're getting somebody who you don't have to micromanage. I can't stand micromanaging people because they're all the way overseas, so cold callers are one of those types of positions where I do need to micromanage a little bit, but I try as much as I can for that $4 to $6 an hour, find somebody mature, but there's exceptions I need to make, right? I could go with somebody, I want somebody that's detail oriented, but I can deal with some slip ups here and there if they're compensating in other issues. So just realize, hey, based off of the salary level, hey, if they have an all right accent, if they're able to do things repetitively, if they're showing up on time, If they're not that detail oriented and they have some slip ups every now and then, that's cool with me. I prefer somebody to be detail oriented, but if I'm trying to check all these blocks and find the perfect person for this position, I'm going to end up having to raise the salary amount to $10 to $12 an hour. I don't want to do that, guys. Not at all. So, that's the ENFJ. Now, ISTJ, this is an individual I found that can work really well as a cold caller because they are very detail oriented. Your ISTJs are almost like, think of them like accountants, right? So the people that are looking at the fine details and they don't miss any details, like an auditor. That's what an ISTJ is. And I love this personality type with my Filipino brothers and sisters. This is a great personality type. They're very detail oriented. They don't believe in laziness. They don't believe in procrastinating. And it's just so uncanny how every person I've hired that has had this position, ISTJ, that has had this personality type, really has had they've been like the same person. It's been really, really wild. And I've hired a lot of people this year with this personality type. And for the most part, most of them panned out. There are a couple of things I saw in their Clifton Strengths Finders, and that's another thing that I look at as well. Now I'll open one of those up here. So there's just some things I see in certain people's Clifton Strengths Finders. There were a couple ISTJs, or one that I hired or that I helped an employee place or a client place, and she didn't work out. And when I look back at our Clifton Strengths Finders, I realized why. And Clifton Strengths Finders, guys, this is another personality type test that I use as well. And I've just found that this is really good at identifying people's inherent strengths. This is inherently who they are, their general characteristics. I like giving this to people first and my applicants because this is free and it only takes like 20 minutes of their time. Clifton Strengths Finders is like $50. So once I hire people to get a better understanding of them, I'll have them take Clifton Strengths Finders. But honestly, I'm at the point, even if it costs them 40 or $50 for them to take, I'm at the point where I want to just have everybody I'm going to hire, take this beforehand because I could catch some things. For instance, this is somebody we hired not as a cold caller, but as an operations manager. But I would say this is true across the board. If you get somebody, guys, that has command in their top, like in their top 10, and this young lady, her command was number 1. This is a strength as far as being a leader, right? Meaning they want to be in control. And I've had a JV partner, joint venture partner that I brought on with my company to do some real estate stuff with. And he had command and it just didn't fit because I was the owner and I was bringing him. And even though, he was JV partner, it was still my business. And we just kept on clashing. He said he was like going to do the things I was going to say, but he ended up just going off and doing his own thing. And that frustrated me because I have command too. I think for me, it's like number 8 or 9, but still it's there. I think if I take this again, because I took Clifton Strengths Finders last year, I think if I take it again, my command might be a little bit higher now. But yeah, so this is across the board. You don't want somebody with command. I like having people that have strategic thinking themes. You can't teach strategic thinking. Wow, I can't talk. You can't teach strategic thinking. This is essentially getting ahead of situations. These are people that make decisions for our company, but we don't need somebody like that that's working in the cold calling position. Would it be nice? Yes. But if you try to find somebody that fits all these criteria and you're paying them $4 to $6 an hour, probably $5 an hour on average, you're going to have a tough time finding that right applicant. And you're going to keep on looking up until you find somebody. What I usually do, guys, I will put out a job announcement. I'll get a short list of about 3 people, meaning 3 people that fit the job description that I'm looking for. And after that, that's when I'll go ahead and book up interviews. And very rarely do I come out of that interview not hiring somebody because I'm not looking for the great grand slam hire, at least for a cold calling position. Now, for some positions, I'm waiting. For instance, I hired an operations manager for a JV partner of mine out in California. And I waited a month because with his project, with what we're building up, we're doing some, we have a more intricate process there with his program. And so we need somebody who's very sharp to do that role. There's a certain individual we're looking for. But for cold callers, guys, put the job announcement out. You should be able to hire somebody within a day or two. And because I know cold callers don't stick around for too long. Wouldn't it be a shame if you spent all your time, energy, and effort trying to hire a cold caller or hiring a cold caller, training them for a month before you even let them call, and then after that month of training, they're ready to call and then they quit. I found that happens when you don't have your people to have you don't have your employees don't have a specific focus on what they're focusing on a day-to-day basis, nor did you give them any training, and you probably don't know what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. So therefore, they may feel like they don't have that much security in their job and they may leave. Okay. And I've seen that happen before. But to go back, wrap this point up, command, if you see this high, I would run away. And if you get the sense that somebody's really strong-willed, have them, and you want to hire them, you can have them take the Clifton Strengths Finders test. I just found that this was just a little bit difficult to work with. Is this a deal breaker? No, but with my personality type, I don't play that. And you have to figure out what works for your personality type, guys. And you don't want to hire a cold caller based off of how you like them and how basically if you like them a lot and if you guys fit well, because they're not a core member of your team, right? The way that my company's set up is that I don't even know who all my cold callers are. It's me up top, and then I have my ops manager, I have my lead manager trainer, lead manager, and then I have my acquisitions partners that are monitored by my operations manager. Then at the very, very bottom, it's cold callers. And we're constantly hiring for that position. We're constantly hiring them, bringing them on board. They're constantly we're constantly firing them. It's not that serious. Don't take it that serious. I found a lot of investors, they take these hires way too serious. And there's certain levels, there's levels to this. There's levels that you should spend. There's at a different level, you should spend more time and energy and effort trying to get the employee on board, meaning are basically vetting the employee, right? So very lowest level, don't spend that much time. Medium level, lead manager, spend a little bit more time. Operations manager, I'm going to really be keen on who I hire, because that's the person who's going to be basically taking over our monitoring and managing the business in my absence. And we're going to talk about all these guys. We're going to do videos on the anatomy of a lead manager and anatomy of an operations manager, because those are the primary job positions that I hire for. And I'll probably do acquisitions manager too. If you guys want to see that one, let me know. But basically what I like talking about now are the foundations. I don't want people focusing on acquisitions when they don't even have the fundamentals straight. Okay. I need to see my chat. Chat. Cool. Okay, so Chevelle was asking, did I hear wrong before? I believe you mentioned you had 300 cold callers. Is that correct? And if not, how many do you have now? Okay, hey, great question. So Chevelle was asking, how many cold callers do I have? And I have a piece of hair hanging out here. Put that right there. So last year, I actually ran a cold calling operation for about 6 months. For about 6 months. My hair is, let me just stop messing with it here. As far as sticking up here, I need to get my hair twisted again. So I was running a wholesaling or a cold calling operation for about 6 months, guys. There it goes. And during that time, that was last year, I would say 6 months. I would say about 3 months. And I was doing my marketing system setup where I was running campaigns for people, but I was also, hiring out cold callers. So I was hiring them for like $3 to $4 an hour. I was charging my clients like $6 to $7 an hour. That was a lot more stress than it was worth. And I found it's just better to build internal teams. And really, I'm at the point where I use a vendor right now for my cold calling operations, but I think I'm going to go back to building my team internally, just because when you get a lot of cold callers, it can be difficult to manage. I don't have 300 right now. Over time, I've had 300 that I've hired and managed. At one time, I've had as many as 50 that I was managing, and that was this time last year, where I was cold calling for myself, for my JV partners, for clients, and for just for all those three. So between those three, we were pretty busy, and I got pretty good at identifying, really getting good at cold calling, the fundamentals of it, the important KPIs you need to track, what the benchmarks are. So like what should they be aiming for? What's realistic on a daily basis? So you're not too hard on your people, or you're not too lenient either. You can be too lenient. I found a lot of investors, they make excuses for their cold callers. All right, guys. So let me go back to my notes here. So we have the ISTJ, and then we have the INFJ. Now I'm going to be honest, guys. I do not like INFJs for really any position in my company. If you have to hire them, fine, right? Like I said, I wouldn't take this too seriously for the cold calling position. Like, you don't want to be this specific with it. If they check 3-4 of the blocks out of 5 of the blocks, I'm saying great. If not, hey, if you get a vibe that they're a good fit, great, bring them on. Now, I'm going to mention some intangibles to look out for during the screening phase when you're hiring them. But before I get to that, I want to actually talk a little bit about the INFJ. Now, INFJs, guys, these are my people right here. These are, if you consider yourself an introvert, extrovert, you're probably an INFJ, to be honest. If you consider yourself an introvert, extrovert. And so this type of person is what they consider an advocate. This is that person where they just seem like they could get along with everybody. They could be out in public, and they're just very smooth, right? INFJs are very personable people. They're very idealistic and principled, like here, and even before I read that, they are idealistic. So the personality type that I get along with the best, as far as like friendship, especially male friendship, my best male friends are all INFJs. My first business partner, he's an INFJ. We're still good friends to this day. We've known each other for about 15, 16 years. Actually, dang, going on 2 decades now. And then we got, one of my good friends from college. We still keep in touch today. We were in band together. And a guy I met in Charlotte, he's an INFJ and a Sagittarius. And so I'm a Leo. So Sag is me. We click like this. So he's an INFJ and Leo. So we hit it off like that. He's an INFJ and Sagittarius. So these are people, guys, that make better leaders than followers. I found that they can have a little bit of a nasty side to them when they're not mature. And INFJs at their best are probably some of the best, most inspiring, riveting, really loyal people, like the people that will let you know, hey man, it's always going to be okay. They're like even keel, you know what I'm saying? And they'll fight for you. They'll be in your corner. But also, too, I've noticed when they're younger, they have a little bit of fire in them. They're like an untamed fire. And also, too, they could be a little bit snarky, right? I've noticed whenever I hired VAs and you try to educate them, this is what I mean by coachable, right? They got to be coachable. And I found that INFJs are not coachable, including some clients that I picked up. I've turned away people part of my program because they weren't really weren't coachable. So, when I say that, I'm basically talking about them being able to be trained without them having putting their dukes up and wanting to fight you or arguing with you or wanting to be seen as right. I can't stand that. But if they're a cold caller, they could join. I'm fine with that. I'm only saying that because these are probably the only 2 introverted. Actually, I lied. I would probably do an ISFJ as well. And notice this A with all of them. I don't want anybody who's timid. So I would do an ISFJ A as well. So INFJ and ISFJ. In order of preference, I would probably put ENTP. You're probably rarely, if ever, going to find somebody with this personality type applying for cold calling. ENFJ is probably going to be the person that you're going to hire. Just make sure they're assertive. ISTJ can work good if you can find one that has cold calling experience. Awesome, because they're detailed oriented. And for them, this might work best if they're more extroverted, more of an extroverted ISTJ, and they can be more extroverted or sociable if it's part of their sign. For instance, I'm a Leo, so a Leo ISTJ could probably be a little bit more bubbly, maybe even a Taurus, but somebody like Libra might be a little bit more into staying behind the computer. So you have to understand there's exceptions here, and you get better with hiring over time. It's a skill set, guys, just like with anything. Hiring is a skill set. Okay, so the personality type, ISTJ, I like that one. INFJ, I don't like that one, but if you see somebody who comes through with that, that's cool. I would hire an ISFJ before an INFJ. And if all this sounds like foreign babble, like I'm talking about different, if I'm talking like different letters in here and stuff, just understand, guys, there's a reason, right? And if you start understanding just these 16 personalities types and then start giving people in your world and in your circle this test, you'll be like, man, this is crazy. When they read the description of this stuff, it's going to be like, man, this is like exactly me. This is exactly who I am. And it's so interesting to understand that everybody is real. I mean, people are inherently different from us. Like there are people out here inherently different from me. Like my thought process, my skill sets, what I do, it's hard for me to understand that people look at the world from a different light, but that's the case. And we have to honor people's skills and know too, if there's something that you dread in your company, I bet you, if you've been investing for more than a day, there's going to be something you don't like to do, whether it be filing your LLC, admin work, talking to sellers, transaction coordination, talking to buyers. But real estate is such a big industry. Is there something for everybody in here, regardless of what your personality type is? There's something for everybody. Now, I would say there's personality types that you want to have as employees, because you don't want somebody coming in thinking that they're running stuff. But if you are running the business and you're doing real estate, guys, you can, with any of these personality types, you're good. Right. I think I've had the most recent person that joined my program is an ENFP. I've had ENFJs. I've worked with ISFJs. So I would say most people in real estate, though, are INTJs, ENTJs, ENTPs, and probably INFJs. These personality types, especially ENTPs, because they're negotiators. Right. I got a guy, Derek, his name's Derek, and he's in Kansas City. And this guy told me with this personality type, he said he can't go more than a week, like 7 to 8 days before until he buys another house. It's like in him. For me, I'm a nerd, man. Like I like getting to the nitty gritty and the bottom of stuff. If I don't go a day without reading a book or getting significantly through a book that's going to stimulate my mind, I'm going to be bored, regardless of how much money I'm making. And really, that's the point I'm at, which is why I like teaching and why I like putting this together for you guys, so specifically what comprises of a successful wholesaling company. Like literally, what makes up a successful wholesaling company? I was having so many issues over time trying to figure this out. When I finally did, I was like, okay, if it took me 5-6 years to figure this out, I know other people are dealing with this. Some people are successful, but they're successful in real estate, not running the real estate business. That's why I have people that come to me from, they're like, hey, CC, can you help me, with hiring or just give me my business back on track? And I have people that come to me that invested 10 years ago and they've stopped for like 5-6 years. And then they want to get back in the game. They didn't have a company. They made money doing the business, and doing the business is a lot like doing real estate, doing a deal. That's easy, guys. Teaching other people how to do that stuff for us so we don't get burned out is fine. If you're young, you're 20, 21, 22, even when I first started real estate, I was 26. That was like 7 years ago. And my energy level, and maybe it's because I've been through a lot in this real estate game, but some of the things I was doing back then, I would not do now, just because I know it will burn me out and it's not a good fit for who I am. And I end up, making myself sick, just doing stuff that's incompatible with with who I am. And I understand now that I have a limited energy source. I need to hire people to do other parts of the business for me, like transaction coordination, like talking to the seller. But where I fit in is I'm a teacher and I'm an educator. And that's really and I'm a leader, guys. And really that's what you need to be getting at as far as your skills. It's coaching, it's leading, it's educating, it's making your systems better, and it's problem solving. That's really what you need to be doing, and learning how to hire, because at some point it's going to get boring going on vacation. I did it the first time I went on vacation. First couple of times I went on vacation, I was able to manage my business, and while I was traveling, it was so cool. I was doing the traveling thing. That was back in 2017. Some things came up, I was able to address them. 2018, went overseas, went to Barcelona and Madrid and Morocco for about 2 weeks with a friend. And guys, there was, I was still on my computer and stuff. Yeah, it was fine. 27, 28 years old, I'm cool. But that gets boring. You have family emergencies come up, grandparents in the hospital, right? I don't have the luxury at that point, nor do I want to be checking into my business. At that point, it was a situation where I couldn't focus on my business. Then it wasn't really fun. Then I realized, okay, I got to start looking at this as a business, not as I'm doing everything, right? If your business doesn't go, nothing doesn't get done unless you're involved. Guys, that's the wrong answer. You're going to be the one pushing it along. And if you're sick or you're going on vacation, or you just want to take some time to yourself, it's going to get to a point where you have got to hire somebody, because if not, all business operations are going to stop. You may be able to get by maybe a week without really focusing on stuff, but your business is going to suffer ultimately. And that doesn't make you feel good, nor me feel good, by just not having a consistent rhythm, not having employees show up, not having anything going on in the business, and it falling all back on me to do every single little small thing. Even if I could, and I can, I don't want to, but I can do everything in my business. That mental bandwidth that takes up my mind thinking about that, not thinking about higher level problems, is essentially that's an issue. Like that's something that I don't like. I don't like having to think about lower level problems. I like thinking about higher level problems, because that's where my value is, and that's where you guys' value is as well. So let me go ahead and wrap this up, guys. If you guys like this, let me know. If you like this format. Sometimes I like doing PowerPoint, but I think that could be a little bit not interactive. So I might just do my notes for these and then just go through. And if there's anything I forget, I can always do part twos and subsequent parts to these. But for a cold caller, guys, just remember, you're paying them $4 to $6 an hour. You're looking for a Filipino. It's an entry-level position. You don't want to get somebody who's overqualified. Even though that may sound great, you don't, because it's not like it's going to equate to more leads, because they're really only going to be able to get 1 to leads per day on average, and that's decent. Intangibles. That's right. I'm glad I put that here. Let's talk about intangibles. And what I mean by this are things that are not listed. There are things that you're not, I guess they're not going to be able to specifically put like as job experience. It's just a vibe that you're getting. It's just who that person is. That's why I like the personality types. If you're looking for somebody who's cool, calm, and collected, and even keeled and aggressive, you're probably looking for an ENTP. If you're looking for somebody just loyal, that'll do everything you're going to say, you're probably looking for an ISTJ, right? And I found a lot of people, they try to, put people like, let's just say they put an ENTJ or ENTP. And this is the thing, guys, if somebody needs money, like a Filipino, VA, they need money, they'll know they're not compatible for these jobs and still apply. It's your job to make sure that you're bringing on the right person. Just because they apply doesn't mean they're a good fit. They're trying to get that paper. They need that money. They need that food, right? They need to put food on the table. So guys, be mindful. ENTJ, ENTP, these are people these are aggressive people, but you probably won't find them as cold callers. You probably want somebody that could just follow your directions. You don't want somebody butting heads. If you hired before, you probably have had people come on board and it just seems like they have the experience, but just doesn't seem like a good personality fit, or it seems like they understand like 75% of the job, but there's like 25% that they can't get. Those type of people, they're just not a good fit for the role. And I've seen investors keep on employees for way too long as a result of them knowing how to do like most of what they want, but they can't do this one part, and it just frustrates them. And it's because it's not a good fit. So you either need to bounce from that hire, fire them, or get another hire. All right, somebody else that's a better fit. We hire slow and we fire fast. If you give a cold caller training, and I'm going to tell them the training time, guys, for my cold callers is about 24 to 48 hours. That's all the training time I give them. I have a really quick training that my team gives them, then they call. It's a performance-based job. And I do pay my people, just to wrap up these notes here, I do pay my team weekly, right? I don't like tracking their computers and their hours and stuff like that. And I don't think you get the full effort out of people. But if you guys want to track people hourly, you can. I just found that it's company culture, guys. There's just some things that you may want to do that could just sour your company culture. If you're trying to build a team, trying to build a company, you don't look at your employees like fly-by-night employees. I've seen too many people do that, almost like they're freelancers. Only thing you need are, 2 solid VAs, operations manager, lead manager, and 2 solid cold callers, VAs. And these can be internal or external hires, and you can make $50K a month wholesaling. You can do that. I've seen it happen over and over again. I'm doing it right now. And it's because I've seen a lot of people, they don't know who to hire or what to hire for. And so they may just bring on a lot of people to fulfill the same role because they don't have these roles laid out. So they may have like 25 cold callers when really only one's performing. They're not tracking their KPIs, right? So they don't know who's performing well. They say, okay, man, well, we're profitable. I have, we got in 30 leads this week, but they don't know how they're profitable, the breakdown. They don't know who is bringing in the income. And when I do analysis in other investors' companies, I really am able to find out quick what's wasteful, what's inefficient, who's inefficient. And if you have too many people on board, that could actually be a disservice to you because you're not understanding and you don't know who's pulling the actual weight of the company and of that position. If you're not breaking out their KPIs and you just see that all the cold callers are bringing in, let's just say 10 leads a day, you're going to think they're all awesome. But if you're not auditing them, it may just be one person bringing in 9 leads a day. So this may seem like common sense, but when you're in the thick of it and you're trying to close deals, you're putting out fires, trying to save deals, like your sellers are asking you to amend contracts, asking for earnest money, all this stuff. Guys, you may forget this stuff. And that's what I mean. You need to have a team to help you identify or keep track of these things, because when the ball's rolling, these things like this, there could be like 30 or 34 tasks that need to be done on a daily basis. And you can't be the one that has to be responsible for all that. Like maybe when you first start, but even when you first start, I'm really at the point where I'm telling people now, just get in the frame of mind. As soon as you close a deal, just go ahead and start building out a team, man, and do it right the first way. So you don't have to, clean up your mess 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Okay. So let me wrap this up with intangibles, and I'll go to any questions if we have them. So intangibles, guys, what I'm looking for is somebody who's chasing me. So if I put up a job description and then I don't respond back to them and they're aggressively pursuing me, I like this. I like that. I like that a lot because that tells me that they want the job. Guys, you don't chase your people down. If they don't reply back to you quickly, if you set up an interview and they miss it, screw them. You don't owe these people anything. They're looking for you like a dollar sign, the same way that you're looking at them like a dollar sign. I also like people that have, they're looking for, actually, you know what? On their resume, job experience for more than 1 year at each position. I don't like seeing somebody that bounced around from job to job. They may not put that there, and people always lie on the resumes, but I found that Filipinos often are very forthcoming. And that's why you want to like always have them take these personality tests and qualify themselves beforehand. Because if they do, guys, if they're qualifying themselves and they're jumping through hoops, like they're giving you their resume, they have to give the personality test, they have to give you a voice snippet. If they don't give you those things, you don't even look at their resume. So you're eliminating bad applicants off the start by them not following directions. And then on the resume, if I see that they also have more than 1 year in each position, even if their job experience is light, I'm fine with that. I like that. I don't like seeing them work for 2 months here, 5 months there. They can have that a couple of times on their resume, but I don't like seeing that, a lot on there. And I like seeing if they have, if they've been in real estate, it's continuous. It's not like they worked in real estate, then they jumped to AT&T, then they jumped to another real estate company. Then they work at a brick and mortar store back in the Philippines. I don't like that because that doesn't tell me that they're focused on their career. So we want career oriented people. And you can get the story of this by analyzing their resume. Okay. These are also prompt communication, punctual with the interview, and great written English. And this is something that I'm looking for with everybody, but if they're a cold caller and their English is a little bit not sloppy, but a little bit it's not that clear, or it's not perfect, I'm fine with that, guys. It can't look all broken, but for the position, $46 an hour, we're fine with that. I'm not going to hire somebody at McDonald's or Wendy's to put fries and flip burgers and put the burgers together for, I'm not going to pay them $50 an hour for that, guys. I'm probably going to pay them $10 an hour. Does that mean that job is less important? No, it's just makes sense based off of what it makes sense to pay them based off our profit margins. We pay them too much, Wendy's ain't going to be making any money. It's not profitable. So great written English, guys. Great written English. That's what we're looking for here. Punctual with the interview, prompt communication. So when we're emailing back and forth, they're getting back to me quickly, within reason, right? Because they're 12 hours, possibly more behind us. But if we're talking to them and they're getting back to us quick, hey guys, that we like seeing that. So these are additional ways that I can vet somebody. So when I'm looking for a really, really high level applicant, or I'm trying to fulfill a position like an ops manager, this is why I would wait, probably why I waited for a month to fill this position for my JV partner when we needed to get an operations manager, because I wanted to see if they check these intangibles. Am I going to have to chase them down? Can they think for themselves, right? Are they looking for long-term employment? Are they chasing me, right? Do I may like push them off for a couple of days. Let's just say they hit me up on Thursday. I say, I'll get back to you in 24 to 40 hours. Are they hitting me up on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Hey, Cece, what's going on? Okay, I like seeing that. Okay, this is more than a job. And I want people that want it more than a job. You deserve that. We deserve that, guys. All this stuff with people in America and states not taking their job seriously. That's why I don't hire people here. The culture is just rotten. At least for these positions. And it doesn't make sense it won't make sense paying somebody $46 an hour. They're not going to work for that, and nor can they afford that. That just doesn't make sense. But we could get very high level applicants for $46 an hour in the Philippines. All right, so I'm going to go and answer your questions here. Hey, Joseph, what's going on, man? Yeah, dude. Hey, Joe, I'm going to post this on Facebook as well. I was trying to stream it to both, bro, but I could only in Facebook post the link. So after this, I should be able to download this after I finish this video up. But yeah, Joe. Hey, Joe is the guy. Joe is the guy, man. He is so detail oriented. He's an INTJ. So I wouldn't hire an INTJ for my company, but that makes a really good owner. That's a great, really good owner. Okay. Bonuses. I will profit share. So Chevelle, I will profit share based off of if my people are internal. So if this is an internal team that I'm creating, not a vendor, meaning so if I'm not hiring cold callers, Philippines, LLC, I'm not going to bonus them, right? Because you don't reward a fish from swimming. They incentivize their own people internally. That's the benefit of using a vendor because you don't have to deal with all the HR stuff. Now, when it comes to internal team, absolutely. I may break it down like this. Don't quote me on this, but for cold callers, I may throw them $50 just based off of when we close a deal. When we get if we close a big deal, like if it's a 40 or 50K bag, dude, well, I might throw them $100, $200, but you don't want to give them too much because if you do, they may go off and hire their own cold call team. I'm not stupid. Like I realize what's up. So you always want to make it proportionate based off of what their skill set is, right? An acquisitions member, I may pay $500 more so than $50 or $100 because you got to think what their weekly salary is. You want to make sure that that's not too far-fetched. It's too different, right? You don't want to pay them $200, $300 if their weekly salary is like $100, So just keep that in mind. I like doing profit sharing more so with bonuses, especially with cold callers, because cold callers, they can generate. You may have a cold caller that's going through a dry spell. They may be calling the same list as somebody else. So I won't say, okay, this lead came from John Smith, cold caller. He's going to get the bonus. I'll just bonus all the cold callers because it's a group effort. Because at the end of the day, the person that didn't get that lead or didn't pass that lead along to the team probably dialed that person at some point in their dialer, but the other cold caller just got in touch with them when they were dialing. So cold calling is a little bit of a toss-up. It's a skilled position. It's not really a skilled position, guys. It's really not. It's a time-based position. I'll give you an example too. Once I realized that cold calling all comes down to time that you spend, because on the phone. So a couple years ago, I think this was 2020, I was auditing the calls from a team I was working with in Charlotte. And guys, there was this really country guy, very thick country accent, probably MAGA, Trump card, Trump hat wearing person, from it was in Charlotte. Remember this call specifically. And we had a new VA from the cold calling team that we were working with. They had a new VA there. And when I went out to the call, I was like, I had secondhand embarrassment because the cold caller, her English was really bad. And I heard this country guy, I was like, man, this guy's going to eat her alive. He's going to eat her alive. Nope. A motivated seller is a motivated seller is a motivated seller. That guy stayed on the call with her broken English. He repeated some stuff a few times and he gave her the benefit of the doubt. He was like, oh, it sounds like your reception spotty, or hey, it sounds like we're breaking up. But her English was like very choppy. In addition, her microphone was it didn't sound great. So that was one of the cold callers that slipped through. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to need to fire this person. But she was able to get the lead. And sure enough, we contracted that house. And at that point, I realized it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. It really doesn't matter how experienced a person is with calling on the phone. It doesn't matter. At some point, the script is just a script. It's a numbers game. And then that's why I started looking at focusing more on training my lead managers and being focused on, okay, once the leads come in, let's put more of our emphasis on following up with these sellers and managing these sellers versus putting our effort on training our cold callers to get more leads. Because over 8 hours in a triple line dialer, if you're using the average settings in it, you're only going to be able to get about 1,100 dials, 20% response rate or connection rate, 250 to 400 connections. They're probably going to get about 1 or 2 leads out of that in a day. That's what the numbers, after auditing and annualizing millions of cold calls, those are what the numbers break down to, guys. Now, are there exceptions to the rules? Yes, but what I'm trying to establish are starting points for you guys, so you're not lost. You're not starting off over in Antarctica when you need to be starting your travels off in South America, right? You may be all the way in left field when you need to, come back this area, and so I can get you on the right path. We don't want to go 100 miles per hour in the wrong direction. All right, guys, I need to hop off here. Yeah, the more you chase, the more you run away, man. That's what Chevelle said. The more you chase, the more you run away. And I believe that. All right, guys. I'll chat with you later. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Chevelle. And I think those were everybody we had on there. All right, guys. I'll chat with you guys later.